To be honest, I'm not here. I'm not sitting in a Edwardian study in a high back leather red chair. There's no fire roaring in the grate. There's no storm pressing against the window outside. There's a flickering candle. I haven't got a glass of port in my hand. Far from it. And there's no clock ticking on the bloody mantelpiece. I'm not here. Now neither are you. Welcome to FOGGCAST, I suppose. You may as well not sit down. So basically for this bit, what I'm going to do is use the sound effect of a door creaking, and then when I give you a point, will you do like a bit of a only me, and I'll get, you know what I mean? Right, okay. So I'll put the door creaking on now.
It's only me.
Nev Claire, come on in. Welcome to my pretend study. Actually, it's not a pretend study at all. We're in town in the Blackfriars courtyard in Newcastle. But thanks for coming along anyway. Excellent. Well, don't take a seat. Would you not like a drink? Nev, so one of the things I'm asking people about is what their own experiences are of just things out of the ordinary, things they can't necessarily explain. There could be psychological things, or they could be paranormal things, or things to do with the spirit, or maybe we don't even know what, the answer is. But when we did some filming together in the cathedral for one of the Inspector Fogg episodes, you told me a really nice story about your grandma Alice, or concerning your grandma Alice. And I wondered if you wouldn't mind telling us it again so we can share it with everybody who's listening to this. I'm going to pass you this, and if you just want to go for it.
Do I just hold that like that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, when I this was way back in the middle of the 80s, and my mum just on an impulse said, do you fancy going to a spiritualist church one night, And I'd never been, and she hadn't either, but we decided to go. And just before we went, she says, I just want to put a rose on me mum's grave. So she picked a yellow rose from the back garden. It was one of the last ones there. So we went off to Benton and we put a rose on me grandma's grave, and then off we went to the spooky church, the spiritualist church. So we got there and we sat down and had a cup of tea, and everyone was friendly. And then the medium gets up on stage on the podium, a little Geordie woman, grey hair, and she comes straight to me mum and she says, "Hello dear," she says, "can I talk to you?" And she says, "I've got a little woman here, she's about 5'1", 5'2", got grey hair pulled back in a bun, and her name's Alice." And that's my grandma's name.
Right.
And she says, oh, and she's saying something else. She says, "Thanks for the rose."
That's the thing that kills me. And we were saying when we were filming, how do you then explain something like that? Like, that's exactly the point, really. How do you then take something like that? Because these happen all the time, right? I'll give you an example. I was walking along a street in London once, and there was like a crowded pavement of people, and they all happened to be walking towards me. I was the only one going the other way. Because of the way the railings were and things, there was nowhere anybody could go. You'd kind of walk down that bit of pavement and you had to see it through and come out the other side. So I'm walking against the crowd a bit, and as I looked up, there was this just really odd moment of a bloke who was walking towards me, caught my eye, and was looking at me. But it was a very odd moment, and for a second I glanced away because it was like such a direct eye contact. It was like the bloke was just like, just looking right into me. And I kind of looked away, and then when I looked back, there was nobody there. There was just all of the other people all still walking towards me, but that one person had seemed to just go into the ether. And it was like, but then of course I just continued. I was going to meet up with my girlfriend at the time, and I just continued, didn't even think about it. These happen all the time.
I know.
Well, I mean, what do you make of it? I mean, how do you rationalise it or resolve it?
That is the question. Well, I suppose the first thing you need to do, you need to break these things down into categories, don't you? So you need a sort of taxonomy of events, don't you? Yours, it could be an apparition. It could be. What do you think? What do you think it might have been?
Well, I'm never against the idea of, you know, if you've experienced something unusual like that, it could well be you yourself. So I don't think there's any shame in, in going, maybe that was me. You know, maybe the part of your brain which dreams just switches on for a moment and gets a bit muddled. Or maybe it was all the acid I took in the 60s repeating on me. But either way, I mean, that was brilliant. But either way, or is it something other? What the bit which gets me the most is when these experiences are shared experiences, because I'll just recount another very quick one. I was once at a friend's surprise birthday party. We're upstairs in a flat. There's one flight of stairs goes down to street level, and that is the only way into the flat. So there's about 8 of us there around the dinner table, them and just loads of really cool Spanish friends, super friendly. We hear Joe, whose birthday party is, come in, unlocking the door downstairs. So we all like switch the lights off and everyone's like, hush, 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 hush. So we hear him coming up the stairs. Gets to the top of the stairs. There's just nobody. And we're all looking at, we're all kind of going, hey, what's he? And there's that kind of feeling, because he's a bit of a bugger. Has he guessed it? He's hiding around the, something like that. And he knew that place had a lot of rumours. We knew a lot of friends who'd lived in that house, and they all said it was really spooky. So nothing happened, and we go, like, Joe, and my friend Teresa went round. She was like, Joe, and I swear to God, there was no one there. We're all looking down this stairwell, going, what? And just at that point, the door opens and Joe comes in and he goes, what are you all doing here? And it ruined the party, But that was a group experience. So, we were thinking in terms of, maybe a individual psychology could be responsible for some of these things. But how do you then explain it with a group? What I definitely want to ask you about is, you told me a story earlier, which is quite a scary one, about, was it the Castle Keep?
Yeah, that's
right. Would you mind just running that one by me? Cause
I will, though, but I'll say this, I think I should probably leave the name of the person out of it, shouldn't I? Because
right.
Do you think? Just
yes.
Because to, let the dead sort of lie in.
Shall we call them?
Tony.
Tony.
Yeah, let's call him Tony.
Let's call him Mark Tony.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Okay, right.
So this Mark Tony, okay, go for it.
Is this a story about Mark Tony when he used to work I used to work at the Bagpipe Museum in the Blackgate.
Right.
Is this the story?
Yeah.
And he used to live upstairs. He was like the caretaker. And he ate a lot of... he just ate a lot of, like, meat pies with a lot of gravy, and it was like his staple diet. He used to go up to the big market and get them, and he seemed to have them for breakfast, dinner and tea, And when it was hot, we all got moved across to the Castle Keep, and we used to sit in a little office there, a ticket office, with the heating on, and he seemed to be sweating gravy, He was...
Beefy boy.
He'd read the newspaper and then he'd lick his fingers and there'd be like sort of like gravy.
Scratch and sniff.
Yeah.
Sunday
and then
dinner.
he'd pass the paper across, Anyway, one day he didn't come down from his flat in the Blackgate and I heard he died. But my assumption was that he'd spontaneously combusted.
All right, okay.
And all he left was a sort of like a meaty puddle,
Like someone had dropped a Greg's.
But while we're on that, can I tell you about, this is my first weird experience.
Oh, right, okay.
I mean, all of us have had weird experiences all of our lives, But when I was at the Castle Keep, the guy with the gravy on his fingers used to get the News of the World on a Sunday, you know.
Right.
And was it Mystic Meg?
Yes.
Was in the News of the World magazine, Mystic Meg. So we always used to read the astrology page. And then one Sunday she sent out a mysterious symbol. And the idea was she was sending out with thought transference a mysterious symbol. And
Right.
she wanted someone to guess it or pick it up from the ether and then draw it and then write in with it, you know.
Right, okay.
So I immediately, because we used to get these polystyrene cups of coffee from up the big market, I immediately just started to draw, almost unconsciously with my fingernail in the polystyrene cup. And I drew a circle. And inside it was a sort of like a Masonic image where it's two triangles, but they are full triangles. So one was like coming up from the bottom, like a flame, and then the other one was going along the top, and it was dipping down. It's hard to describe. Do you understand it? Though,
Yeah, almost like what are they called?
Well, I tell you what, if you had two slices of cheese, right? If you had two slices of triangular cheese and you overlapped them so that one was pointing up when the other was pointing down, and they were overlapping, yeah. Anyway, but I didn't do nothing with it, you know. And then next Sunday I went in and she did the reveal of what her secret symbol was. And it was the symbol that I'd described, right, in the coffee cup. But instead, hers had two slices of cheese with a circle in the middle, and mine had two slices of cheese with a circle around the outside.
Whoa.
That was so nuts, isn't it?
So did you send anything in?
No, I didn't. I know. It could have been the beginning of a beautiful career.
Yeah. You could have been, because I don't know if she's carked it, but she's probably still hanging around.
Mystic Nev.
Mystic Nev. Yeah, you could have taken over.
I could have been the Darren Brown. I could have been the Geordie Darren Brown.
What a wasted chance. It's no good regretting things. You've just got to move on and live. Live.
Because of the yellow rose, basically, I just kept going back to the church because, you know, I was an atheist then, I'm an atheist now, and I just couldn't accept it. I couldn't accept it, and I just thought there has to be an explanation for this, you know.
How did you resolve that into the atheism? Like,
Well, no, I couldn't, could I?
You
Well, it was completely
haven't been
incongruent,
able
wasn't it?
to.
I mean, how
Yeah.
could I mean, it took me, I kept going for 4.5 years just to try and find out, and it sounds ridiculous, and of course, then I got very involved with it, you know.
Yeah.
But that's what drew me in, just the sense that it was incomprehensible. That what me and my mother had just done, just gone to a graveyard and put a rose on a grave, that this little old woman from Bedlington Station could know about that. But what I found fascinating with the Spuggy Church is that there was some verification there, because a total stranger is telling you something that only you could know, you know. And that's interesting, but it might be something completely different. And I think it is just basic thought transference, it's just telepathy, which I think we've all got and which we can all use, you know. Like I used to give people messages at the church, you know, like one little old lady, I said, I'm sorry, pet, I don't want to worry you, you know, but I can see you sort of surrounded in flames, but you're protected from them, everything's okay, you know. Anyway, she went home, and then the next week she says, you know what, she says, when I got home, my caravan had burnt to the ground.
Oh, God.
And that,
What? That's just... Oh. So did you used to kind of like communicate with an audience and kind of chat to people?
well, it was more one-on-one, yeah,
Oh,
or in
right.
small groups. I mean, I did try the audience stuff, and it didn't. I wasn't a good medium, you know. I got
This is
too
strange because
anxious,
as a
you know.
performer, you're often in front of an audience.
Well, I feel like I'm channeling there sometimes, you know, and I end up talking about things that I wouldn't normally talk about.
Those are very empathic. Like one of the key things about watching you play is the very empathic gigs. I've been at one of your gigs probably about 10 years ago, before we knew each other, where everyone started singing along with one of your songs, and there was people actually just crying openly, and then everyone expressed something altogether. So maybe you found another way to connect with people in that way.
Yeah.
Feels like very, not disconnected to the...
No, it does. I feel like a gig's only good if I've got a good audience, which sounds ridiculous, but I feel like I take a lot. We all share it together. You know, I don't want to get too artsy fartsy about it, and it might not have anything to do with the medium stuff. You know.
What is the road that leads to death? And thousands walk together there. But wisdom shows a narrow path, with here and there a traveler. Deny thyself and take thy cross, is the Redeemer's great command. Nature must count her gold but dross, if she would gain this heavenly land. The fearful soul that tires and faints and walks the ways of God no more is but esteemed almost a saint, and makes his own destruction sure. Lord, let not all my hopes be vain. Create my heart entirely new, which hypocrites could ne'er attain, which false apostates never knew. Why should we start and fear to die? What timorous worms we mortals are. Death is the gate to endless joy, and yet we dread to enter there. Oh, if my my soul would stretch her wings in haste, fly fearless through death's iron gate, nor feel the terrors as she passed.
Do you, considering when you play and that you are feeding on an audience, or there's some sort of kinetic like sparking off each other happening, then when you're doing the songs in the studio, do you find it as a result of that, do you find it a more sterile environment to kind of communicate things in? Like, what's the difference in
You know, I've never thought about it until now. But I'm sure you're right. I'm very resistant to going into the studio. And I was last in the studio in 2001, and that was with George Welsh and Archie Brown. So I had a laugh, and there was quite a lot of warmth there, you know. And George is one of my heroes anyway. But since then, I have really avoided studios, and instead, I've preferred to put out live albums, you know, so songs from live albums where.
So where can people find those live albums if they want to check them out?
They're on Bandcamp. I know we're not going to do a plug, but they're
no,
on Bandcamp.
No, but
and I just called
there's a difference between saying to somebody a plug or whatever, but saying you should go and listen to these. They're absolutely excellent, which is the spirit in which I'm meaning it.
Okay,
you know?
well, thank you. Well, they're on Bandcamp. It's Nev Clay Bandcamp, and I just called them Setlist.
Right.
Setlist 1 to 5, and there's about 40 songs on there, and lots of them that I haven't recorded elsewhere, and some songs that I've just thought, I'll just give it a shot once, and if it's crap, I'll dump it. But it's more about chatting to the audience and having a laugh with people, and it's that sort of communication that
Is there much of that on the recordings? You know, your stories.
there's loads of it.
Oh, that's excellent.
Just gets more and more. I mean, the first album, I think I only interrupt one song to tell a story, but by the end, you know, I'm doing like an hour-long gig, and I only do 5 songs, and the rest of it's just a load of waffle, or I'm just sort of like, channeling, improvising. It's all, you know. So.
Well, I was going to ask. I was going to text you earlier about this, but now's the perfect time to ask you, so because you probably can't say no. But would you mind now if we were to play out this show with your song "Obsessed with Death" as a teenager?
Yeah, it's a lovely song.
Do you mind if I put the live version
don't.
at the end of this? It's
No.
absolutely beautiful. We finished one of the Fogg episodes with it,
I know.
and it's just perfect. So we'll have that now. What's that one called?
Ocean of Sadness,
Excellent. We'll have that now.
which is a bit of a histrionic title. It's a bit of a history. Can I tell one more story if we've got time?
Please do.
This is a really good. I mean, I've got loads of these, you know, but and I just like the way. But I mean, we've both talked about this, that it's just an everyday experience, you know. And I am an atheist. I'm a rationalist, you know. I'm a materialist, all of that. But these things happen, and they happen, you know, and they're available, you know. Yes, so this last story, okay, so it was a lass at work, you know, and I didn't really know her very well, but her dad had just died. I was thinking about her, you know, and anyway, this was when I was doing the medium stuff, you know, and I couldn't help it. I was outside having a fag or something, and then I just got this impression that I should say something to her, you know. And I thought, it's going to be really bad. I don't want to say anything about her dad, because that's really untasteful, you know, distasteful. Anyway, I got a message from someone who said they were a grandma, and they just said, different worry pet, and they mentioned a little gold cross, and then they said, tell her about the blue hippopotamus. Right. Have I told you this one?
No.
All right, okay.
No.
So I arranged to chat to this lass, and I invite one of her friends along, because it's a bit embarrassing. I've never really talked to her before, and I just say, I'm really sorry, but I go to a spooky church. I got a message. Your grandma says hello, pet, and or petal, and mentioned the little gold cross, and then she said, remember the blue hippopotamus. And the lass was really embarrassed. We were all really embarrassed, you know. It was a horrible situation, and she said, no, that doesn't mean anything at all to me, you know. And I thought, Jesus, that's really horrible, you know.
Right, okay.
So then we just avoided each other, you know. And then about 3 or 4 days later, she came across to my desk, and she says, you know what, she says, I was thinking about what you said.
Right.
And she said, I just realised the other night, on my bedside cabinet at home, she says, I've got a I've got something my grandma gave me. It's a blue soap hippopotamus that I've had since I was like 5 years old.
Oh, how strange. So you were validated, thank God.
Yeah. It's too weird, isn't it? People don't want to know.
Yeah.
I haven't done it for years just to reassure people, you know.
But that's these things happen all the time. I wonder how many people, I'd love to hear actually, if anybody does have anything like this they'd want to share, to put it on the Facebook page or something like that. Just let us know what the story is. That'd be class to hear everyone's stuff.
It'd be amazing.
Brilliant. Okie doke. That's excellent. I think we've got tons of good stuff.
Great, okay.
Right.
You hang on. Before you switch it off, there's one thing.
Oh.
Or have you already recorded this bit?
No.
Okay.
No.
I don't want to switch off before you tell the listeners that story you were telling us before.
What about the fire station?
No, about the relationship with a famous.
What?
Um,
Right, TV chef.
Yes.
Yeah. Listen, there is no. I'm happy to get the opportunity to say this to everybody. There has never been, and sadly will never be, any truth to the rumour about me and Nigella that weekend in Cramlington in between the 23rd and 25th of October in 1982. There's no truth to that rumour. With that, I'm going to play your song. Okay,
Thank you.
Nev Claire, thank you very much.
Thank you, Wayne. Bye.
Excellent.
Obsessed with death, as a teenager I skived off school and sat in graveyards, finding in them some sort of comfort, a promise that this would all be over soon. There's an ocean of sadness under the street. I can hear its waves breaking, steady and sweet, a subliminal presence, like a gentle heartbeat. There's an ocean of sadness under our feet. Thank you very much.
All right. I might be laying it on a bit thick. I get carried away with the sound effects. Thank you so much, Nev Claire, for coming along yesterday and doing that recording with me. It was a really good laugh and it cheered me up no end. The music in the show was Billa Lapiche, Kath and Phil Tyler, and Nev Claire. And the sound effects that I used, which I've used in loads of different episodes of Fogg, TJ Morgan, Bosk1, Set Uniman, Joe Deshon, Urban Gorilla, and Eris Dean. I use their work in loads of things, so it's only right to say thank you. Next time I'll be joined by Sean Thomas. We're going on a ghost hunt of Newcastle and Gateshead. I hope secretly that we end up in the Mean-Eyed Cat, and I might book it in advance. It's best to be honest about these things. There's a Facebook page if you want to leave something there. Thanks for tuning in, and fog out.
Wow.